morning, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us today in our Automotive Suppliers Gain the Power to Innovate with a 3DEXPERIENCE platform webinar. This session will be recorded and the on-demand version will be sent to your email afterwards. We'll have a Q&A session at the end, so if you have any questions at all during the presentation, ask them and our experts will be happy to answer. I would like to get started with a brief introduction of our presenters. Our speaker today is Israel Flores, Sales Director of Customer Transformation and Innovation, with over 15 years of experience in business development and sales professional, with a proven track result-driven record focused in aerospace, shipbuilding, and defense companies. He also is in account management and customer service relationship management. We also have Kevin Barnes, our Senior Account Executive at Bias 3D. Kevin has over 25 years of experience as an account executive for design, manufacturing, and PLM. He represents industry leaders like CAD Systems, Autodesk, IBM, HP, and Oracle. He supports our clients in the US and Canada with their digital transformation to the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. His specialties are remote project team setup and 3DX Cloud, CATIA engineering solutions, aerospace solutions, automotive, and industrial equipment solutions. Now we will get started with the presentation. Kevin, would you like to take over?
Thank you, Kenya, for that wonderful introduction, and welcome everyone to today's presentation. Our agenda this morning will cover a short introduction to Bias 3D. We'll go right into our presentation on Power to Innovate for Automotive Suppliers. We do have some industry references, and then we'll finish up with the Q&A on today's topics. So on with the presentation. A little bit on Bias. Bias 3D is a Dassault Systems Platinum partner. We provide sales support, training, and consulting for not only CATIA, but Simulia for simulation, Delmia for manufacturing, and Anovia on the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. We do support clients in the US, Canada, Mexico, and India, and we assist our clients to get the most out of their CATIA and 3DEXPERIENCE investments. And the executive team behind Bias 3D is a great team of professionals with extensive backgrounds in not only the various industries and competencies covering areas such as engineering, simulation, and project management. And so now on today's presentation, the power to innovate at automotive suppliers. So when we talk to customers about CAD data management issues, three numbers spring up. 200 is the number of new parts or assemblies per week that designers are creating. That's a lot of parts to keep track of. The number 100 or $100 million is really the cost of the engineering changes that will take 30 to 50% of the capacity and represents a large percentage of tooling costs at over 50% for these changes. And then lastly, the number 25. That is the percentage of non-productive tasks that a designer or engineer will take to find what they need to work in a given week. That's a 1 day per week loss in just non-value added tasks. And that's a real cause for concern when we're talking about the platform. And that's why people are really looking for a better solution. And so with that, areas for improvement, the business impact of performance has been being able to find the right information quickly. And then all the downstream areas that follow up with that when it comes to having the most accurate information. And you can read through that these are all areas for improvement that will help your business. And so when we look at that, clients are starting off with the file-based system. And what the problem is with the file-based system, you've got the issue of possibly duplicated data, not knowing which is the right version. And while file workflow and the standard tools, File Explorer that come with Windows, It's great for smaller groups. Once you have more than 2 people, knowing which is the right file, where it was located, who overwrote what becomes a real issue. So companies have, the standard product data management systems. And again, it's structured, it's able to control it, but it's only as good as the last update. You have to feed the product data management system to be accurate. And it usually has a complicated user interface. And this is really where designers don't like it that much. It slows your checkout on the Monday, and it slows things down on the check-in on the Friday. And during the week, it doesn't really help those outside the engineering department to really know what's going on. And it's only as good as the information that's been fed into it. It's not updated in real time. And again, the complex UI is not something that designers really want to gravitate to. The implementation of such a system, it may take too much time or be too slow. And it's not the system's fault. It's just that when the CAD tools came out, they weren't really designed that much to support data information flow to the entire team within a company. And so Dassault Systems came out with the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. So here we have a platform where it's one location. It's designed to support not only the file-based environment where you're coming from, but it's designed to manage the database of information for all stakeholders. One location, a way of making sure that all departments have access to the right information at the right time. And for the designers, the user interface is immersive. It's one click inside their CAD environment, so it's easier for them to access, and it's something that they're going to gravitate to because it's so easy to use. And we'll see more about that later on in the presentation. So our suppliers, when we talk to them about what they have to do, they have many automotive suppliers that may have more than one CAD version in play. They may have to not only manage CATIA, but also NX, maybe SolidWorks, and even if multiple OEMs are using the same CAD system, they may have to manage different release versions to stay compliant. And so the 3DEXPERIENCE platform is something that has to support this ecosystem. And this is what many of our customers are dealing with today. And this is the situation that a file-based system is struggling with. And so when we look at the fundamental values of the 3DEXPERIENCE platform, we're managing the information for 3 types of users. We have what we call the 3D authors or CAD users, the makers of the files that everyone has to have access to. We have the 3D consumers. While they are familiar with 3D, they're not making the CAD files, but they need to know what the latest part is because it affects their departments, whether it's manufacturing or quality. And then we have what we call the 3D newcomers or consumers of that 3D data, where they need to know the latest version, they need to know what the right part number is, and by having access to that 3D relationship, they're now on the same page as the authors. So being able to freely access that information is important, and the quicker they can have access to that accurate information is going to improve across the organization the ability to be accurate. And so with the 3DEXPERIENCE platform, again, it's serving these 3 groups of users. The author, they're going to be able to access the files they need inside their CAD systems and quickly collaborate and search for what they need. The consumers, they're going to be able to use 3D, make sure it's the right up-to-date data for the decisions they have to make and the issues they have to solve. And then we have what we call the 3D newcomers. They're not a CAD user, but they need to have the most accurate information to make those decisions. So the 3DEXPERIENCE platform addresses all these areas of users or all these classes of users in the organization. And so this video that we have here, we're going to be covering the 3 different scenarios. In this first video, we will see an example of how a 3D author is going to use the CATIA within the 3DEXPERIENCE. They're going to be able to access it, and there's a problem that has to be adjusted. The parts within the rear suspension of this motorbike. So in this step, the engineer has a task to address the problem, and he has to go directly to the data in the platform to review it. So he has to drag and drop the geometry, and at that point, he can look through the product structure to navigate to the areas of concern to find the related objects. And from there, he can search through the Explorer window. And the engineer is going to be able to work in context with a volume filter. And it's a powerful tool that allows them to select the components with a bounding box, and the engineer can simply launch the CATIA via the app, and he's going to be prompted to select the right information inside the CATIA environment. And so now data is open in CATIA v5, and he's able to begin work. But he notices that one of the parts, well, they're not loading properly, so he has to load the new part from the 3DEXPERIENCE. And so he can load and unload the data from the session, and he's not having to leave the CATIA to switch back. And as he's working through, he's going to have some visual cues in the product structure. And the engineer is going to notice that, there's a spacer that's missing in the current session, and it's an older revision, so he needs to replace that. And then the revision engineer is going to have to identify the revisions available and update that. And so as they have a new part that gets created, they're going to have to do a new part number, because that's going to have to be assigned. And this can be done, and all of this is happening inside the CATIA, so that the information is really visible immediately without having to leave the CATIA session. And then before they finalize their work, they do one last check, make sure that the current CATIA has the latest stable revision before saving everything back to the platform. And then they have to have a permanent record of the work that is done. And so the engineers have to freeze the design, and that way that status goes from in work to frozen, and it also lets all the users know that this is being done for design review and it's stable. And so that's just a small capabilities of what was available for the 3D authors. And so we have a situation where the engineer remains focused on their work without switching back and forth between CATIA and 3DEXPERIENCE, and how it's seamless and trouble-free for the engineers to ensure that their latest changes are shared in real time with the platform. And so in this next user, we call them the 3D consumer. And so they are looking at some examples of of how they're going to review and manipulate the data, because they have to do the variance and look at the front braking. And so here we have to do a product leader reviews the information. And in this issue, they have to look at 150% of the engineering reference and then filter the product to only the variant that they need to be visible so that they can focus on the front brake disc area and surrounding components. And the brake leader applies an additional predefined volume filter. So they're able to look between the normal version of the sport fork and the sports version of the sport fork. And so the 3D experience, we have bookmarking capabilities that allows the product leader to quickly locate from a catalog of parts the appropriate parts for the fork assembly. And so, as this fork assembly is added, it's not positioned correctly, so they have to drag and drop the assembly, correct it, locate it properly. The product leader can, create a CATIA V5 product using the authoring tools within product structure. You can do a combination search with 6W tags, and they're able to quickly locate the new brake disc component assembly. And now that the new assembly contains all the parts needed, a quick assessment can be made. And so we do have very powerful sectioning capabilities within the 3D component viewer. And then several interferences have been identified, and those that require geometric investments in using the CATIA can be identified as a collaborative task. So here we have the resulting new variant. The new documents can be published. So the final result is the product leader unfreezes the design and updates the engineering reference and assembly. So those three takeaways, they're able to have access to the live 3D, be able to make accurate decisions, push the design and revision through, all without having to leave CATIA. And in this case, the 3D consumer didn't have to go into CATIA to make those recommended changes. The last is the 3D newcomer. We're going to see several examples where they're able to manage activities and take action. So the manufacturing engineer, he has to do a 3D issue review to oversee the current issue with the motorcycle. So the issue management widget allows them to select the brake performance issue created earlier, and in just a few clicks, they're able to interrogate and understand the status and associated data, such as related parts, markups, and conversation threads. And so the manufacturing engineer notices the rear mudguard seems to be missing and decides to create a new issue to capture his concern. Leveraging the power of the 3D, he can anchor the issue, correct location of the motorbike, and select a nearby component and suggest who should be part of the team to help resolve the issue. And to enhance the overall status, the project manager can open the project dashboard to review and understand the status of the projects. And they're interested in the new work that is progressing with the electrification of a new motorbike variant. The project manager decides to add one more measure to one particular task and adjust each task with the members and the work allocation percentage. And then this other review has to do with the sales manager getting the customer's feedback on a proposed design proposal. And while on site, the customer and the sales manager can use the 3D markup app to capture comments related to the design. So we've just seen how non-CAD users can leverage the 3D data, improve both internal and external collaboration with their customers, and have seen how 3DEXPERIENCE can provide them with a true digital collaboration platform, leveraging 3D across the organization. So what is the power to innovate? It's important that we saw the set of capabilities that are available across the supplier, because we're now connecting the CATIA investments. So we have CATIA has an immersive PDM. Second, it's inclusive because we provide a 3D basis with a web interface for designers and other stakeholders within the organization. And finally, it can be enriched, and that will be the subject of the next slide, where we can really open the door to see many different process-oriented roles enhanced by the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. So what are these downstream values that we speak of? Well, the first is important to note that it's not only CATIA anymore. You can have other CAD connected in the same way, and the suppliers have on average, the suppliers have an average of 2 to 3 different CAD systems that they're using to manage their customers' information. So being able to have multiple CADs in the one system is going to be of benefit. And some of the customer references we're going to talk about later today, they've applied this approach using Power to Innovate, and we see that there's a lot of different applications, but we can classify them by brands. And I would like to extract a couple of them that really make sense for the automotive suppliers. So when we talk about the first one, Simulia, it's called simulation for the designer. So it has this added capability if you have your information in the platform. There's also the manufacturing and digital twin capabilities found in Delmia. NC machining as well. If you have CATIA on the platform, you have access to this capability. As well, the CATIA gets better tools for doing die face design and mold tooling if it's connected to the platform. And then finally, for those companies that are doing AP, QP, or project management, we didn't get a lot into that, but if it's on the platform, you're going to have access to those capabilities. So now when we look at some of the reference customers that have already made the journey to the 3DEXPERIENCE platform, we have VE Commercial Vehicles in India, we have Toyota in Japan, we have a compressor manufacturer, Sandin in Japan, all have chosen the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. A little bit deeper on Sandin, this first one, they decided to do the 3DEXPERIENCE platform with their CATIA V5, and with that approach, they were able to drastically reduce the work hours for their design. They were able to optimize their inventory, and they noted that they reduced their procurement costs. The second case has to do with VE India, in which they were able to take their 350 Pro Engineer Creo users plus their 15 CATIA users and put them on the platform. And for them, they had to basically remove Windchill and replace that with the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. And now that they're on the platform, they can start to get into the advanced electrical harness information and capabilities that live on top of the CATIA 3DEXPERIENCE platform. So the 3 takeaways today, I'd like to remember these 3 things. First, the power to innovate is there to leverage your customers' CAD investments, your investment in CATIA and other CAD tools. For the 3D authors, or the designers in the companies in CATIA, it's about productivity. For those other stakeholders or the 3D consumers that need access to 3D, it's about reinforcing, reducing the amount of errors. And for the 3D newcomers, they have to be able to improve the overall team efficiency, working with the latest information. Second, we're able to do this because we're providing 3D as a universal language across the organization. And third, and finally, it's also important that these supplemental applications that reside on the platform can allow you to innovate and optimize with all the processes that an automotive supplier may need to accomplish. At this point in time, I'd like to open up the chat for questions and answers. Kenya, any questions we can address?
Yes, sorry, I was on mute. Yes, we do have a couple of questions, interesting ones, if I may say. So one of them says, how long does it take to set up my CATIA with 3DEXPERIENCE?
That is a very popular question that we get. And when it comes to deploying the CATIA 3DEX platform, we find that if you're going on cloud, we're talking days to get you on the platform for CAD collaboration. If you need project management, we're talking weeks. If you want an on-premise environment, you add a little bit more for the hardware setup. But we're talking about, you know, pilot projects and pilot phases happening in under a month, not the traditional never-ending project that we see with other systems.
Hey, Kevin, if I could, so this is Israel. Yeah, again, thank you for all attendees and to come to the webinar. Yeah, as you mentioned, Kevin, this is definitely one of the most popular questions in context to the connection of CATIA with the platform. Of course, there are several use case scenarios in which we support, and as you mentioned, the installation, of course, being on the cloud is one of the most high questions that we have, most popular questions, and really the way that it come up and connected to the platform and go in a cloud type of environment is basically a matter of receiving. You got your licenses and you receive a link that basically take you to that tenant. And when you get to the tenant, you're able to then connect through the license that you have. And then you get all the applications that you need to engage the work that you need to do. So from the installation perspective, it's a really, really optimized and very great experience, if I might add. In context to the process, as Kevin mentioned, now that you have the license, then there are several processes and buyers, of course, can provide you the support on how to connect your data into the platform, how to do the collaboration. But again, the type of feedback that we're getting from customers is actually quite favorable and very fast, that they're able to get up and going and exchange data and collaborate with the data, making sure that they have the latest and they avoid issues in context to run data and so on and so forth. So a great question, and I think the as you engage with the platform and then you connect, let's say, with CATIA V5, you will see that the way that you connect is very simple and easy for you to make sure that you have the data that you need no matter where you are. If you are within the CATIA 3D experience, it's even better because now you have everything that you need within the platform. So yeah, great questions.
Kenya, what else do we have for questions?
Yes, so we have also, we use SolidWorks 2020 and CATIA V5. Can this support both at the same time?
Great question. The short answer is yes. And we find that many customers and OEMs, they have to support more than one customer with more than one CAD version, with more than one CAD release, and the platform supports all of those scenarios. So yes, we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And the beauty of this is that as Kevin mentioned in one of his slides, when you bring the data into the platform and now it's there, now you have in one hand CATIA and the other hand SolidWorks. You will have connectors into the platform that make it basically seamless for you to be able to have the data within the platform, be able to get the data from the platform into CATIA or into the SolidWorks, and be able to do some work there. And then within the platform, we have ways that you can do viewing of the data. And then depending if you're a consumer or if you're a designer, you might have different processes that you're able to work on that. So again, with the bias, you should be able to get those processes and those ways that you can consume the data and be able to view different data coming from different systems, whether it's the CATIA side or the SolidWorks. So yeah, very great questions. And the answer is, as Kevin mentioned, yes, it is available.
And I guess one more, Kenya.
We do have two more. We do work with Honda and have to get ready for CATIA V6. Does that mean we can't use V5 anymore?
The answer is you can use both. There is a current offer that's on right now till the end of the year where you're going to be able to migrate your CATIA V5, but keep using it for 3 years while moving to CATIA 3DEXPERIENCE or V6 to address that Honda requirement. So you're going to be able to do what they call the parallel use situation, where if you're not using V5, you're using V6, but we're not taking your V5 away. We have, understanding that you may have to use both depending on who you're working with, who you're supporting. And yeah. Israel, if you want to add to that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're right on, and that's a great great special offer that we have until the end of this year, in which you are able to, if you have, let's say, some CATIA V5 seat where it's an MD2, HD2, or PLM Express, you can migrate those into the 3DEXPERIENCE platform, and that would allow you this parallel usage that Kevin mentioned for 3 years. And also, depending the number of users that you have, there might be some concurrent ratios that we can also work with you. So if you are thinking about the possibility of utilizing the platform and at the same token keeping the CATIA V5 for other activities and so on, this is a very great time to check it out, because the special offer is available and give you flexibility to the solution that you need, whether you have requirements for the CATIA V5 or requirement for the 3DEXPERIENCE, you have 3 years parallel use.
That is awesome, Israel. And actually, that kind of answers our last question, which was, do you have any discounts for people who are looking to migrate to the 3DEXPERIENCE?
Yeah, so we have, in fact, we have a program available this year under the install base animation program, in which basically we provide our customers the possibility of migrating their CATIA licenses to either CATIA Engineering Excellence or the CATIA 3DEXPERIENCE platform. We have both special offers, migrations. They have, of course, some terms and conditions on each one of them, but it really gives you tremendous flexibility as far as being able to upgrade your environment, let's say from your CATIA Classic, like your MD2, your HC2 type of license, or your CAD or CAD MSC, that type of PLM Express licensing. You're able to migrate those to what we call the CATIA Engineering Excellence within the CATIA V5 environment, or migrating into the 3DEXPERIENCE CATIA into the platform. So both solutions, both migrations are available, and working with Kevin and the BIAS team, you can get all the information about what are the terms and conditions in each one, but certainly they provide tremendous flexibility for our customers to obtain the latest solution and be able to migrate, in this case, to the platform. So this will be a good time to check that out and to check with Kevin to see what can we do in order to do that.
Yes, we would work together with an evaluation of the licenses the client has today, so that they know that if they're going to do the migration, most of the migrations you wind up with more than you started with in terms of capability. The pricing is so aggressive right now. The year-end promos are on. So yes, reach out to us or any of the other existing BIAS members. If you're working with another rep, that's okay. We'll support you and get you where you need to be and get you the information you need to have. But unless there was any more questions, we can close the call for today, and we appreciate everybody attending.
Yes, definitely. We don't have any more questions, but feel free to reach out to Kevin. You can see his email in the screen, or just send an email in the contact link in our website, biasradio.com. Well, thank you everyone for joining, and you can look for the replay in your emails really soon. Thank you guys for the presentation.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.